Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are here talking clutches. Rather, Steve Kirby, our office sales manager, and John Glover, our operations director, are talking clutches. You've got quite a bit of experience with that, John, and I think that today we should let our customers know what they should be buying, how they can kill a clutch, and the issues that they may be facing. So, before I leave these guys to it, just wanted to introduce you to Legacy Legends. They are a manufacturer of vintage mugs and really appealing to me. I've got 4 of these. These ones here actually are mine, and therefore our best customers or suppliers when they come in, because all the other mugs are pretty grubby, aren't they, John?
Absolutely.
Tea stained, because they drink about 10 cups of tea a day. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to this. I'll let you guys get technical, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a controversy.
So firstly, just to set the record straight, it's not going to be one of those technical kind of conversations. What we wanted to get across to you guys today is that it's more about trying to get across getting the right clutch selection. Now, one of the biggest problems that we have with the parts that we sell, especially on the performance side of things, is issues with clutches. Now, anyone who's involved in any kind of social community, they will know within those groups that every single week there will be a conversation about clutch. And don't get me wrong, clutches, like any other product, they can have the problem, they can fail at some points, but the majority of the time what we're seeing isn't product failure, it's selection failure when people are buying these products. So we're just going to talk a little bit today about the do's and the don'ts when it comes to selecting a clutch that's right for you.
Here at Awesome, we supply and fit an awful lot of clutches, as you could imagine. As you're probably aware, mildly modified vehicles, the standard clutches just aren't quite up to it, especially the Triple Eight Gen 3 engines and the S3s and the Golf R's, etc. We find the standard clutch is pretty much the weak point as soon as they're modified. Got a couple of examples of a pressure plate and a flywheel just down here where you can see some hot spots, commonly caused by slipping and the clutch getting too hot, of course.
And a lot of the reasons why flywheels are always being requested to be replaced is if you have a look on here, you can actually see, you know, the gouge marks and the high spots and the low spots and the heat spots on there, which, you know, you get a nice new clutch to go on there, you know, you're going to experience them juddering and causing all sorts of problems. So a lot of the time it's not only down to whether there's any free play or excessive movement in the flywheel, which again is another issue with them, but you don't want to be trashing a new clutch by putting it onto something that's come out the car like that as well.
Okay, so here at Awesome we sell Sachs Performance clutches, which have of course been around for an awful long time, ZF being an OE manufacturer. We are also the UK distributor for RTS clutches for the VAG range. RTS and Sachs Performance both do a number of clutches for different applications. RTS being a little bit different with the twin friction clutch and what have you that we'll mention shortly. So really the question is which clutch is best for the application that you've got if you're at stage 1, stage 2 and beyond, etc.
So as Steve says, clutch, which one should we choose? Now, you've got to remember the way that the factory clutch was made. A factory clutch was made to hold a certain amount of power and torque. Once we start to tune these cars, we're going outside of those parameters that it was actually made for. Hence, performance clutches. Now, there's a big misconception out there that performance clutches mean that if I've got a tuned vehicle, I can throw anything that I want to at it and it's going to work. You know, in reality, that isn't the truth. If we start off with the RTS twin friction, which basically has paddle clutch design on one side, organic material on the other, also runs an OE style of cover. Now these clutches are absolutely fantastic for somebody stage 1, stage 2 tune who is going to drive their car in the way that it was intended from the factory, which is, you know, good spirited driving. You start to go beyond those sorts of parameters with these cars. You want to do launches, you want to do burnouts, you know, you're doing loads and loads of big downshifts from high speeds. this clutch will only work for an amount of time, and it's that kind of driving is going to prematurely wear this out. And that's something that you really need to bear in mind. You need to pick a clutch that is going to be suitable for your driving style.
Okay, so moving on from what John's just been saying there, if you are going to be giving the car some abuse and you're really going to be downshifting from high speed, launching the car, really giving it a bit of death, you really want to be using a paddle clutch. This particular paddle clutch has 5 paddles or 5 pucks of sintered material. Sintered material is very tough and very grippy. If it was to be a full circle disc like this one, then every time you press the clutch it would grab, hence having individual paddles on there. Ideal if you're going to give it some more depth, if you're going to give the car a little bit more abuse, but not really something you want to go for standard sort of around town driving.
New addition to the RTS range is they've now released a single mass flywheel for the EA 888 Gen 3 engine. Now we know that the original dual mass flywheel is quite troublesome, very expensive to replace. RTS again doing things a little bit differently. If you go for an SMF conversion from Sachs, that's a lightweight flywheel, and that is not the nicest thing to drive on the road. What you'll find without the dual mass, which is obviously cushioned, you'll get a vibration as you're under high load and the revs are building up. With the flywheel from RTS, that matches the weight of the original dual mass flywheel, so you don't get that vibration. There's no real negatives for it, and also if you're buying it as a combination, that works out a lot cheaper for you. So don't let anything that I've been saying about RTS take anything away from Sachs Performance. Sachs Performance clutches, they are the only clutch kits that you can buy that are provided by an actual OE manufacturer. Hence the way that they perform slightly differently, and they have a different philosophy to other clutch manufacturers. So we've gone through all of the clutches, standard clutches, different options of performance clutches, and flywheels, and one of the most important things to remember once you've actually selected your clutch and it actually comes to driving the car is the bedding in procedure. Now, one of the things we get questions about a lot is with the RTS clutch and why it has such a long bedding in procedure with it being 1,000 miles. And it's really quite simple, because we've got 2 different types of friction material. They bed in at different rates, and basically the organic side, where it mates to the flywheel, takes a hell of a lot longer, just because you've got the paddle side that's doing the majority of the work in the initial period. There are a lot of people talking about that in a negative light. That's the way that it is, that's the way that it's been tried, it's tested, that's what the manufacturer recommends. See people talking about, I had my paddle clutch, or I had an organic clutch and that was 400 miles, or I've been and done a track day after 150 miles. They're just made in a different way, different materials, and you can get away with it in those cases, not in these. And one of the reasons that you need to adhere to it is because the side that goes against the flywheel, that takes a longer time to bed in. So if you don't bed it in, you drive the car too quick, too soon, it overheats it, and in this case, as you can see with that one, it can break it. Next to no use. This one, I believe, was driven hard after about 300 or 400 miles. Customer knew it was slipping, kept on driving it till basically he couldn't get gears anymore because the friction material had broken off. You know, chances are you drive the car, you notice a little bit of slip maybe, then just make sure you drive it, get the miles on it properly, and that will stop with time.
Okay, so to conclude this slightly different video to what you're normally going to be watching on our channel, we've gone through the range, we've gone through reasons why a clutch may fail, and we've gone through maybe which choice you want to make for your car. It's an expensive purchase and something that can be difficult to get right. So we've got a big support network here, we've got a dedicated sales team which you can contact us by phone, email, Facebook, online messenger. We're here to support you, so if you've got any questions, please reach out to us.
Don't forget to subscribe, and in the words of Mr. Markash, don't forget to ring the ding-a-ling.